Right, this is Spider-Man's Web Annual 3 from 1987. And the cover doesn't announce it anywhere really, but this is an all pin-up special, which means I can use cuts like this so I don't have to have a perfect single take. We have even got a nice cover by Greg the Rock LaRock and Bob Layman, although there are a few cases of miscolouring, such as on Felicity's hair, or what I assume to be either the answer or Black Abbott. Now, you're going, it is obviously the answer. No, here's the logic. Greg the Rock LaRock did those stories with Black Abbott. And actually, this would be coloured a bit more correctly if it was meant to be Black Abbott. So maybe it is Black Abbott. Both villains were 2 years gone by this point anyway. We have a contents here, and I don't know why I am showing it because the people are credited on each page. Spider-Man pin-up by Albert Savoy. Black Suit Spider-Man. I am sure we have got some lovers of Savoy in the comments down below. A lot of this is in reference. It is a tribute to the original Marvel Silver Age annuals, especially the first two Amazing Spider-Man ones. The Secrets of Spider-Man. One of the big secrets is that Spider-Man's web was always the rubbish Spider-Man series. Always. There is some good ones, don't get me wrong, but it was always the one with the worst creative team or the worst stories compared to the other two. And running an entire annual that is mostly pin-ups and what would otherwise be bonuses at the back of an Amazing Spider-Man annual goes with the legacy of Spider-Man's web as the weakest of the Spider-Man titles. This is a direct emulation of Summit from the Silver Age Spider-Man annuals. This Secrets of Spider-Man is the only thing that isn't a straight up pin-up in here. Mary James. Can we all agree that Mary James is, or she was, brilliant? Are there any of my subscribers who actually don't like Mary James with Peter Parker? I would be interested to know that. I know Darth Knight, the subscriber, likes Emma Stone and hates that Emma Stone died, but I do think that of the few people who do watch my videos, I mainly have people that have stopped reading comics because they are insufferable nowadays and have torched anything good. But that also means they were able to move on. They moved on from comics. They still like comics. They like all their back issues and their memories and stuff like that. But moving on, it is what Mary James ultimately represents in Spider-Man. Mary James is the face of Peter Parker moving on. And in a nutshell, that is why all the writers and editors hate her. God, I am sorry. Lately, I have become a broken record when it comes to Mary James. Big fan of Mary James. This is a good pin-up of her too. Albert Savoy has found a way to have Mary James look attractive without making her into total fan service. Peter Parker's apartment. The Chelsea apartment. First introduced in the same issue that gave us Smokey Bear. He makes an appearance in this annual. Sorry to spoil that for you. This isn't by Albert Savoy. This is by the Perlin Mafia Don. I will give you an offer you can't refuse. The Daily Planet. This too is a Perlin Mafia joint. I wonder if J.K. Jonah Jameson knows that his newspaper is built on schematics provided by the mob. Then we have Empire State of Mind University. This was a frequent setting for a lot of the stories during the Bill Bungalow and Royce Sternum days. By 1987, I feel like it hadn't been used in a while. Peter Parker dropped out of grad school to instead spend his days shagging Felicity, which is better than getting a master's degree anyway. But it would return in the Todd McFarlane issues. Peter Parker started volunteering there or helping out with scientific research. Elizabeth Banks, Peter Parker's first girlfriend. Then we have Emma Stone and her dad. Let's move on from Emma Stone, much like Peter Parker did. J.K. Jonah Jameson's a family photo of him, his wife Marlo, and his son J.K. Jonah Jameson Jr. This is coming from Don of the Perlin family mafia too. You heard it here first, folks. Jonah is in deep with organised crime. Hey, is this The Cosby Show or something? Robbie Robertson's family, like his Robbie Robert son and his white girlfriend. Aunt Tomei and Uncle Ben. What I like about this is that we are getting pin-ups of some small casts that you otherwise would never get a pin-up of at the back of a regular annual. Who really cares that much about the Borders living with Aunt Tomei? I like that this annual is really presenting how much of a world there is to Spider-Man's comics, beyond the same 8 characters introduced by Stanley Lee and Steve Dittman. Larry Osborne and family, little baby Lee Harvey Osborne and his wife, Larry Osborne's wife, not Lee Harvey Osborne's wife. Cannot remember if I have ever given her a name. I would say, maybe not at this point actually, it would have been... You could have restructured this picture a bit. There's a pool there. What you could have done was let us see their reflection or shadows in the pool. And Larry's could be in the shape of Green Gobbler. Crash Thompson. This is the saddest picture ever. He's still acting like he is the popular high school jock, but the stadium is completely empty. It could be an album cover, couldn't it? It would make a good album cover. A jock in an empty stadium. That would be good. I think that's a good album cover. Extraneous women. They all get smooshed together for one pin-up. I like the blonde, but her lips have been printed weird, with the colour eliminating the pencil lines. Gobbler here. This is the original Gobbler, I believe. The write-up mainly discusses him, but it also acknowledges Pumpkin King taking over the role. I suppose you can say it is whichever you want it to be. Kingpin Man. This pin-up and a few of the others are by Delilah Dearborn. Now there's a name that requires some Googling. Kiss from a Rose. I think that was the name we landed on with him. I have always been disappointed. This character was also hurt quite bad by Topher Proust's malicious trashing of secret identity reveals. And even if you say it is Richard Kingpin, that can work, but once he was revealed as that, he was written out. His identity was revealed just to get rid of him because Proust wanted rid of Tom Falcon's character. Now here is what I am all about. We have a rather extensive gallery here of Spider-Man's forgotten foes. Obscure, forgotten about villains like Basil Elks. He is an old Spider-Man, Fantastic Force, and Captain Marvel's, the real one, Marvel, enemy. He was over the top powerful. His powers come from one of the Cray People Moonstones. And there are many, many villains who I will say Scourge shouldn't have assassinated, and this is one. Let Scourge murder the Big Wheel instead. The Big Wheel is awful. Why didn't Scourge kill the Big Wheel? Then we have got Felicity, forgotten about as a foe because she stopped being a foe and became a partner. And what is interesting about Felicity isn't her boobs, but that she has 2 pin-ups. I suspect they accidentally assigned her to 2 people, but if you're going to double up with anyone, Cycle Clone, another Scourge victim, he was in the bar massacre. Something else you will notice is that a lot of Gary Conman villains bit the Scourge bullet. The Dark Rider, this is a Spider-Man team-up villain from the big Salem witch trials time travel story with Charlotte Witch. Drom, the Backwards Man, he was in that Andy book I looked at last week, wasn't he? It used this exact picture. Smokey Bear, I don't know what else I can say about Smokey Bear. I have done 3 videos about him, even more if you count his appearances in Thunderbals. So I am a bit Smokey Bear's out. A few Thunderbals characters, or Thunderbals related characters in here actually. We had Basil Elks, who was tied to Moonstump's origin in a way. We had Cycle Clone, and we have got some more coming up. But before we get to them, it is the Human Fly. This is the one I think didn't deserve to be forgotten. He didn't deserve the Scourge assassination either. Human Fly was a visually colourful character with a decent power set, and he made for a good second stringer bad guy for Spider-Man. I think that his most recent appearance before Scourge, that it was a Fred M. Beck assistant editor's month issue, is what caused Human Fly to be offed. Really, Scourge could have just gone through the early issues of Spider-Man Team Up. There is a dozen or so nothing burger villains that nobody remembers and who never appeared again. I think Jeremiah is in that Satan's Son and Human Fire team-up issue, maybe. So not even a Spider-Man foe, possibly. John Kramer, Jigsaw. Remember when they did a flashback in Saw 7 where they tried to make Tobin Bell look younger by putting him in a backwards cap. That is great, isn't it? Here's a character I would have been eager to offer up to Scourge. And then the sad thing is, I would never have gotten this character in Thunderbals. What she gets to do in Fabio Niciez's run on Thunderbals. I really like what he did with her. And he made it so that this embarrassing and humiliating Gary Conman creation isn't without some potential. Now here's something for you. If I was writing Thunderbals, I would have a character show up in it. You might be noticing that most of these forgotten foes are coming from Spider-Man Team Up. And as I said, all these were easy picks for Scourge bait, but none of them were killed off. Basil Elks was Spider-Man Team Up too, but unlike these others, he had further appearances, and he was actually powerful, and even had potential of being turned into a great villain one day. But he got shot, while these get to float around in comic book limbo, never to appear again. Mr. Mind, Gary Conman again. I am surprised he didn't get scourged too. It really does bother me that Spider-Man, a lot of his villains were offed by Scourge, and the ones they chose don't really seem that fair. Mr. Mind, he didn't appear after his one issue, I don't think. Why isn't he the one getting blown away? Visage, he got it too. This one I understand. An unspecial villain. Lenny Wen created him. Lenny Wen on Spider-Man seems to have tapped into some of Gary Conman's penchant for these villains that don't really have any ties to the central hero. That is why Visage never appeared again. That is why Mr. Mind never appeared again. Psychoclone and Basil Elks. They did have other appearances, but the thing that links all of them is that they were created by Gary Conman and Lenny Wen, and they had no connection to the hero they were fighting. And so then, come a cleaning exercise, they are obvious ones to get rid of because they don't matter to Spider-Man. There had to be some rule. They had to have gone, right, we cannot pick about 30 villains from Spider-Man Team Up to have Scourge kill. People will notice that they all come from Spider-Man Team Up. With that said, Moondark, not a bad name. Or luck, I guess, I think. Moondark, you could easily rework as a villain for maybe not Spider-Man, but the name and the look and stuff. You could do a lot with him, I reckon. Defenders seems at the forefront of my mind. I wonder if Marky Mark J got a comp copy of this annual and flipped through and regretted missing all of these valuable Scourge murders. My problem with Scourge is that he did assassinate a lot of characters I think either had something to them, or they had potential, or they served a purpose. They deserved more of a chance. Nobody has ever once thought Moondog should have a comeback in Marvel Comics. One of the less forgotten foes in here, Rollerball. I realise I have neglected to mention any of the credits for these pin-ups. I got too into discussing these rubbish forgotten about Spider-Man bad guys. Scourge can kill him too. I don't care. Will-o'-the-Wisp. Here's the thing with him. For ages, Spider-Man would always name drop him as a reference point. Whenever Spider-Man encountered any other character with light-based powers, he would compare them to Will-o'-the-Wisp. It created this sense of intrigue for me. I wanted to know why Will-o'-the-Wisp is always on Spidey's mind. And then I read his story, and he's a fucking boring arseface. Hey, don't have a stegosaurus, man. Royce Sternum is the writer for some of the bits on some of these pin-ups. And our final one is the Wrath. Jessica DeWolf's brother. Not even a villain, really. He was assassinated by Scourge on a whim. Completely doesn't fit Scourge's MO. Although he was set up before his death as about to embark on a villainous rampage. But you know what? I would have liked to see him back as a villain, wanting revenge for his sister's death, like that final appearance teasers. That would have been a good story to tell, but he got shot instead. That is another thing. A lot of the Scourge scenes, when the villain shows up, there's a few where I actually am excited that they are around and about to attack a hero, and then they are unceremoniously shot by Scourge. Here is a Spider-Man pin-up by Bob Layman. And here is another one by him, which has been used as an advertisement for Spectator Spider-Man Annual 7, which I don't recommend because Topher Proust writes it. And Topher Proust hates the marriage. And in that annual, Topher Proust is writing the honeymoon. Fuck that. On the back, one last Spider-Man piece. This one by the Loch Vess Monster. A fun little compendium of art here. Many of these forgotten fools will never get a better image for representation. So from an administrative mindset, it is good to have a pin-up of Jeremiah or White Dagger. And as we have seen with Drom the Backwards Man, later down the line, they are sufficient enough art pieces to repurpose for Andy Book profiles. Who is your favourite forgotten foe of Spider-Man? Not just those included in here, out of them all. I reckon the answer is going to fare well in my comments. You crazy kids love the answer. The Spot, I think he will get a couple of call-outs too. I got distracted and I've wound up compiling a list of some more forgotten foes of Spider-Man. In alphabetical order, here they are. The answer: Belladonna, Big Man, Black Abbott, Crime Master, the Darter, Empathoid, which was also in that Andy book, the Enforcers, Equinox, Fusion, the Gibbon, Gog, Jonas Arrow, the Hermit, Hitman, Hypno-Hustler, Iguana, Kangaroo, Lightmaster, the Living Brain, Luther, the Lords of Light and Darkness, Gideon Mace, Madam Web, not really a fool, but definitely forgotten, Magma, the guy, Man Mountain Marco, Manslaughter Marsdale, Masked Marauder, Meru the Mind Bender, Persuader, Photon, Rapier, Ringer, Schizoid Man, Mendel Strom, Swarm, Thermo, Tryman, White Rabbit, and Zandu. There's more, of course. Obviously, there is a lot more. Those are just some ones I thought of quickly. Calypso, that guy from Captain America 265, Sultan, loads. And I am limiting myself to characters introduced before 1987. I'll give this 7 pin-ups up.